Morning, everyone. I was trying to figure out what's the best way for me to start the discussion today. And it took me back to my early days of watching TV when Netflix wasn't around and Star Trek was big. And so what I'd like to sort of propose to you in your minds and your heads and your attitude towards AI, do you see AI like the Borg or the holodeck? And how many of you remember the holodeck? The holodeck was much more inviting. It's a place where you go and can be creative. But the Borg is something that took over you, took control of you, and decided what you needed to do. And technology sometimes makes us feel that way. It makes us feel like it's controlling me instead of elevating who I am into a space where I can be my best. Well, one of the things I'd like to speak about today is how AI is helping companies and practitioners actually elevate what they can do and actually do it much faster and easier. But let's look at where AI is today. And so we look at today we have the LLM models. They're driving a lot of change. There's still a lot of uptake. There is a ceiling, a technological and mathematical ceiling that's going to be hit pretty soon. But that's just part of the architecture. But that's only temporary. There'll be new ways that they'll discover how to do certain things. And well, then all of a sudden, you're going to start to see a wave of what they call neurosymbolic. Yeah, neurosymbolic AI is a name that they have many names for it. But really, it's the meshing of the data, an analysis of the data and the AI into this whole system. And we're getting there. We're moving towards that. And when that happens, that's going to be another hockey stick effect to AI. And in the middle is governance and privacy, which is pushing back. So we are seeing a rapid acceleration. If you think that what we're doing today is going to be here for a while, in 6 months, it's going to be old news. Technology, I remember doing business cases for marketing technology installations and data and analytics installations, and you'd have a 3-year business case or a 5-year business case. Today, I was talking to somebody from Forrester, and we're talking 18 months. If you can't have a business case on a piece of technology that can't give you a return within 18 months, that's how short the cycle has gotten. And so where are we today? Well, I think that even today, with what we have from an AI perspective, this is huge for marketers and people who work with marketing departments. There's an ability to actually have significant cost savings. Because right now, there is heavy loads across the entire process. If we think about it, we get in rooms, we're strategizing, we bring in different people. Sometimes meetings get out of hand and we have 20 people in a room trying to figure out what's going on. We have to get the data scientists involved. We have to get all these other groups involved. Creatives take a long time. Agencies are delayed. And we need to pivot because there's so many things going on. Well, today, what we're actually seeing is if you implement AI today as an ecosystem and integrate it into what you're doing, you will see significant cost savings of time. You also will start to see that you are empowered as a marketer. You will be empowered to actually do things and say things in a way that's natural for you and for other people to act on. If you're someone who services marketing, a lot of times, I come from the sort of data science side, and the kind of one-statement emails that you used to get, and it would drive you crazy because you're saying, how am I supposed to do something with this description? AI is now coming together and solving these problems. You do have to have enterprise-grade governance. And this is something that we in marketing sometimes run away from because we're saying, oh, it's just something that's going to impede me. I'll just give it to the agency. That's actually the wrong thing to do. AI is actually repatriating work, and we're seeing this across North America and Europe. It's repatriating work from the agencies back inside the enterprise. And this is critically important. And the agencies now are elevated back to being the creative, strategic partners that they originally were, and actually where we want them to be. And this is what's happening in this whole world. And hyper-personalization and the demand side of hyper-personalization, the promise that we could deliver it, the promise that all these large marketing technology installations could deliver, hasn't still been realized. And that's because you cannot just install something for the web or something for your CRM and not engage the entire process. Now, I can't give you an entire process today, but I'm going to give you an example today of how you can link two pieces of technology, different pieces of technology, AI technology, one being SaaS, and another one being a company called Savier that we're starting to work with, and how they can interact and save you a lot of time. So let's look into that. Let's take construct of a process. And it's oversimplified, but I think it helps in me to try to describe what I'm trying to accomplish here today. You obviously start off with strategy and planning. That's what we do. We get into a room, we have goals where, let's say, our churn is not where it should be. We need to grow our customer base, next best action. And we have to bring in all the things that the business requires of us. Well, the next thing you have to do is you have to start looking at, who do I speak to? What are my audiences going to look like? How do I build this out? Who are the experts I need to go to? Do I have an existing one? What happens? And this is a step sometimes that people interact with on the actual step number 3, which is actually the experience orchestration. What we're finding is that sometimes with tools that are out there, is that you try to take these tools that actually have an embedded journey, and you try to do all of the journey and audience build identification, the filtering within the tool, as well as the journey orchestration. It becomes more and more complex. The requirements get harder and harder to implement. And so what we're seeing is that best practice, you start separating the two. And by separating the two, you can actually manage the two very well. Then you get into creative generation and advertising. I know as a data scientist, I never really cared. I remember early on in my career, I was brought into a meeting, and at the very end, I was at a bank, and it was a bank that was blue, and the marketers were arguing about which type of blue was there on the template. And they were saying, no, it's blue number 43. No, it's blue number 44. I don't understand. Well, get out the template and let's look at it. I felt like this is a waste of my time. But they understand the brand. They're the experts. They're the ones that understand it. And vice versa, they think that we're propeller heads over here, always worrying about data and requirements and being specific. But how about if the two worlds got together and they were just who they were and were able to implement and get that creative out the door quickly? I mean, you've seen this on YouTube. It's going fast. They can create videos now that almost look real, and with actors that have come and gone. It's amazing what's happening, and it's coming fast. In other words, those capabilities are going to be at your fingertips, and you're not going to have to wait weeks for it to get done and be ready for legal review. In fact, the pressure is going to start going on legal unless there's an AI that can help legal approve some of these things. Let's get into it. So, my proposition to you today is that if you act now, you are going to see significant savings and improvements in what you're doing today, across the board, with different teams that talk to each other. Let me give you a scenario of a process that may work. Let's start off by identifying the business strategy. What is it? Customer acquisition? Is it churn? What are you trying to do? Who are the marketing managers who are required? The brand leaders? What does the business say? What does finance say? What are we trying to create? Well, then you got to assess. All right, what's happening in the market? What are our competitors doing? What's our brand position in the market? What's happening? Where can we get information from? One of the things that we try to do is we try to actually help our clients with knowledge capital about our points of view, our past history, and what we have embedded in systems. So now you can actually include data that isn't just tables. You can actually include strategy documents. You can include POVs from Deloitte and other leaders in the industry. It can all be now imported into a system that analyzes that and can give you feedback instantaneously. Now, the AI is informing and giving you review recommendations. Now, what if you can, in this process, Think about the meetings you go through. There's the initial kickoff meeting, then there's meeting with your technology team and your data scientists. What if you could take the minutes and the documents that you shared and interacted with one another and upload it into the system so it's taking your feedback? That changes things. You now have collective knowledge capital being digitized and absorbed into AI, leveraged and embedded into the process. That's what we're talking about, what's possible today. And it's not difficult to implement. It is not. You then get into SaaS. Wouldn't it be great if SaaS could take all those meetings you had, all of the things that you talked about, what the data scientist did, what the campaign engineer said, what the brand specialist said, and take that into account and automatically start working on your actual solution before you even opened up the tool? What if the tool was actually thinking about how to talk to SaaS, and all you had to do was actually have SaaS talk to that agent? Agent to agent is coming. It's not here yet, but it's coming fast. And what's going to happen is you're going to have SaaS have the ability to receive instructions from a company like Xavier and actually start working before you even open up the tool. But even today, SaaS has the ability to read documents and a brief or even a whiteboard journey and embed it into its system. So SaaS can start building audiences. SaaS can start building your journeys, those initial journeys you need. And basically determining, these are the device list that goes to Google and Facebook. Here's the one that goes into Adobe. Here's the one that goes into Salesforce. Here's the one that goes into our email system. Your destinations can be predefined because you had all those meetings up front. But now you have to write all the requirements for that and have more meetings. What if you could eliminate all that? And all of a sudden go right to implementation and get a feedback loop. That isn't something that's for tomorrow. That's something you can do today, right now. This is how it works. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a visual example of how this works. So I talked about what's called Workflow 1, which is an audience strategy, personas, creatives. You're talking about what is happening within your world, what you need to do. Maybe your competitions come in, cause some problems. You're not offering the right experience. Maybe they introduced a mobile app, months ago that's causing problems within your category. That, all of it gets ingested in there, in that flow. Then you have another flow where you're actually talking to the technical people. They're actually coming in and providing input, providing insight. Do they need to build a new model? Can they use an existing one? And with SaaS's ability to give you recipes, you can actually have the data scientists start working right now in parallel to say, well, here's my existing recipes. Let me start working and creating some net new ones or modifying ones that I can embed. Then Workflow 3 is now your SaaS environment. And the one thing that I'm very optimistic about SaaS is that its plan is to build an agent for each one of these pillars. You already have audience and journey. You're going to have one for recipes, your actual distillation layer, and wrapped around a master agent, and this, we're talking months away. A master agent that now can actually speak to other agents and interact. Hands-off workflow. That is going to be amazing. It's not here yet, but it's very close. And I want to show you how this could work. So here's Xavier. So let me paint you the picture of what's going on. You have a series of meetings. Today, I'm thinking either big banks or telcos or any CPG companies. You're having to put all of this together in meetings. You're having all these meetings, all this information. Think about all the intelligence that is shared in a meeting. Think about the documents you have, your brand strategy. Maybe you have partners like a Deloitte that has points of views and white papers and other documents that they've shared with you, strategy documents they've given you on how to approach this problem. And you're sharing and talking about them in meetings, and you have one meeting after another meeting after another meeting. Now, what if you could feed a system that's taking all that information and actually starting to work? Savvier is that strategic layer, as an example. It has right now over 50 workflows that you can use to interact with marketing. It goes out into the places where you have your information and your data, and there are ways to actually architect AI that would meet your governance and corporate compliance requirements, so that the knowledge from the AI stays within your organization, it doesn't go up into the cloud. And that takes some architectural work, but you can. Some AI companies have the ability, some don't. But we're now in talks with actually embedding a one AI engine that can speak to the cloud, but all of the learnings, all of the LLMs, all of the output stays inside your bubble. It never leaves. It is your intelligence, your output, your capability. And that's what Savvier is doing. Savvier is going through, and it just went through all of the data that Deloitte had provided. It's taking strategy and creating tactics. It's taking information that came in, and it can write requirements in a very detailed way. So think about it. Marketing now can go through this, and it's going to take strategy to tactics to requirements automatically. And then you can read it. This is version 1. Okay, let's go. Let's all meet. Okay, let's read version 1. Oh, I'd like to make these changes and these changes. You're not typing it into the system. You're talking. And it's taking what you've said in a meeting. So I'd like it to do this, or there's another report, or we have results from another system. We need to actually take that into account. And as you're talking and you're recording what you're saying, all of that now can be fed back into a AI tool like Savvier, and it's taking the next meeting that you had and bringing that to life and recreating the documents, recreating your requirements, recreating everything. There you have it. A brief ready to go. And then you as a team can sign off on it. Here's SAS. This is the brief that was produced. It has all the elements you need. It can produce multiple documents. Look at what SAS is going to be doing now. It's going to take that brief, and so today it's agent to agent is still being on the roadmap, but what SAS can do is actually take that document. Savvier can actually put it in a landing area where CI can pick it up. And CI's picked up that document that was created, and it has specific language. The Savvier tool has specific language for AI and requirements so that SAS can do the actual reading of it. And SAS is reading this in. Savvier can also be sending out an LLM language to your AI creative assets building engine to say, how do you build your email templates? What kind of images? What kind of headlines and taglines do you need to be? So Savvier is now fed that system. Savvier is now fed SAS, and SAS now is taking over. It's reading the entire brief that used to take weeks, maybe months, and only took hours and days to put together now. And that's super important because it can be as complex as it wants, as finite as it needs to be, because we're talking machine to machine. And all of a sudden now, SAS has finished reading what's going on. It is now going through and starting to analyze the audiences, what the journey needs to look like, what the splits are. So SAS is now reading it and finding out, oh, this is a new app that got launched because we're behind in the market. All of our competitors have better apps. Customers are complaining. We need to launch this app and get it out there so churn doesn't get impacted. This is what the brief's all about. So now SAS is reading the brief. There's no human interaction at this point in time. SAS is reading the brief, creating the audience, looking at the personas and the data that Savvier is asking it to look at. It could be recipes. It's creating the splits on those that have downloaded the app, those that haven't, and those that haven't, you're going to be sending out an email to them. And those that haven't, you can now get the device IDs, send it into Google so you have a custom audience in Google. You now have a custom audience in Google, so those that haven't opened up the app. Facebook, you name it. Every digital channel now, along with your current channels, have all been fed with a list of people who have not downloaded the app. And now you can speak to them, you can communicate to them. And so now what happens is the person who's your campaign engineer and your data scientist can go in there and take a look at this. And they can even go into SAS and ask SAS on the right side and say, hey, analyze this tree that I've just analyzed from the brief that came from Xavier. Do you have any recommendations? And even SAS can come and have some recommendations because it has a different AI engine. All of a sudden, you now have a new flow, a new journey, and the person who designs these can go back into Xavier, have another meeting, capture what you're talking about, and embed it back into the system. This is what AI can do today. This isn't vaporware. I've just shown you a video of what's actually happening. And so I know I'm going to be running out of time soon, but what I wanted to do is leave you with this. This is not vaporware. And today, we can actually show you how it works. I'm here. I just invited the president of Xavier to join us so that you can have a chat with them as well. We're going to be at the CI SAS booth with our CI people there from SAS. They're going to show you how this works on the system. That can be shown to you live. This isn't something on a not on a spreadsheet, but on PowerPoint. This is an actual tool that works today. Now you've accelerated the time that a campaign engineer, a data scientist, and a marketer can work together. And you've taken all the pain away. You've actually made it more human because we meet, we talk, we share ideas, and the AI system can take that and use it. And so what does that mean? We can meet together, share ideas, do more brainstorming, and the AI can incorporate that and make the changes. And here's where the danger comes in these days, is let's say you launch this campaign, and all of a sudden, there's a competitive reaction, or something dramatic happens in the marketplace. You know what we do today? We don't go back to the beginning. We go to step 4, or let's change our creatives, or let's tweak the journey and see if we can improve things. And you might get a little bit of a blip. But really, isn't the best way to do this is to take that information, that feedback, and go right back to the beginning when you did the planning and the strategy and the brief, have another meeting, have Xavier take that in as an example, and then recreate the brief and say, hey, I've noticed these other areas. It isn't just about changing the creative. There's some things that you can do to your audience that will improve your campaign. The power comes in you being able to go back and within hours have your whole new strategy done, your entire journey recreated, and ready to go. That is reacting to the market. That is doable today. And it just takes a little bit of adjustment, making sure that the technology is supporting you and elevating you and not controlling you, and you being able to implement it. Now, this is where I talk about we need to make it more human. And I think there's a greater risk of us ignoring the technology than actually embracing it. It should be part of our everyday interactions. You know, one of the things at my work that we're trying to do is eliminate paper. We don't actually print anything off. In fact, if you print it off, it's logged. You know, everything is based on the meetings. Every meeting is recorded. Every single meeting I'm in is recorded. The transcripts are recorded, and they're used. Everything that you do can be used as intelligence. And then what if you forget something? You don't have to worry anymore. We had a meeting. We can look at the transcripts. They've been embedded into the strategy document. And this is just marketing. This can be used for anything. I'm just using marketing as an example. You can use this for a variety of different applications. This is technology that's here. I think that with my clients, what I would say, the risk is not implementing and waiting for somebody else to do it for you. I don't know, you might have partners that are saying, hey, we're building this, we're building this, we're building this. I was just talking to somebody, they're actually in the room, I'm not gonna name them, but we were actually saying that they were at another conference not too long ago, and it was all vaporware. Yeah, and we're building this AI, and we're building this AI, and we're gonna be able to do this and be able to do that. If they're not ready, you shouldn't wait. You need to move now. The technology's there. It's not hard. It might take some convincing internally. We can help with that. Your other partners can help with that. Figure out ways to architect it that you can use it that's low risk. But if you're experimenting today, as the improvement comes in, you're going to be ahead. Your company's going to be ahead. And it's going to be a win-win situation for customers and for yourselves. So my advice to you is speak to people, start implementing, start using you as information that brings value to the whole supply chain, and that you'll elevate how you work. And it's going to be a lot faster for you to be able to react and actually meet the goals that you're trying to meet. So I'll leave that with you today. I am here. We're like 4 minutes away. I am here. Greg is here from Savier if you want to speak to him. At 2:45, we will be at the customer intelligence desk. I know that there's not a lot of time today, and some people want to see the next speaker upstairs. And there's a brain date at 3:30. And I think Brigitta's here too. Where's Brigitta? She's there. You can talk to me more about it at the brain date at 2:45, the brain date at 3:30, 2:45 at the CI desk, and here as well if you'd like to.
So we probably have time for one question before we finish, if anyone has anything burning, or you guys, as Julio says, can go by the CI booth. Anyone want to ask anything right now? No? All quiet? Okay, well, thank you so much. Can we show some appreciation for Julio?
Thank you. Thank you very much.